Hello, friends. Welcome to Banking Frontiers. Today, I'm hosting a panel discussion on a very interesting topic, holistic management of data. And given the way data has become an incredible part of our lives, this is something that we really need to focus upon. Today, we are discussing holistic mastery of data management. For this, I'm joined with three experts today. So
Thanks.
may I ask each of you to briefly give your background? Pankaj?
Yeah. So myself, I am with Motilal Oswal Financial Services, working as a group CTO. Plus, I have an additional responsibility of handling. I am an COO for my broking business also, right? And since the start of my career, I am an application and data management person.
Hi, thanks for inviting me for this forum. I am CTO and Chief Operating Officer for the trade operations in National Stock Exchange. And we are currently working on making our exchange ready for the future, for the multi-trillion dollar economy to handle 1 million orders per second. As well as making it fault tolerant. And recently, we have achieved a milestone in the financial services organization's history that we are able to switch over our exchange and clearing corporation, all these two MIIs all together within less than 45 minutes from production to DR. So any disruption, during the market hours, if it happens, we will be able to switch over in less than 45 minutes, and this is the official certification to our regulator. However, when we look at our internal milestones, we are able to migrate our all critical systems in about 15 minutes. So this is one of the great achievement which we have taken, and which the milestones, and kind of a very proud feeling as well, that for such a mission critical infrastructure, we are able to make the things again brought to normal. Within 45 minutes, markets could be restored. So this is one of definitely in the direction of making the Indian capital market as one of the largest capital market around the world.
That's a fantastic achievement given the size and complexity of any trading system handling so much volumes.
Yeah, none of the exchange actually. I think some of the exchanges across the globe, when I have surveyed, everywhere the RTO is 2 hours. So I think we will be around the globe one of the first exchange which is less than 45 minutes. We are able to switch over and
Super.
restore the market.
You're creating benchmarks and milestones for everyone to follow. Great. All the best to you and your team.
Yeah, thanks, Manoj, for the platform. Been in this industry for almost 23 years now, in companies like IBM, Dell, EMC, and now with Commvault, and have seen the entire cycle and entire various portfolios of IT. If you ask me, let it be data, or it can be network, or it can be services. So I've managed the entire stuff. Currently, I'm into Commvault and into intelligent data management. That's a brief from my side. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you. So all of you are seasoned professionals. So my first question is for seasoned professionals. And let me start with Mr. Bhasin. Mr. Bhasin, what are the age-old techniques and what are the newer techniques that the industry has applied to achieve better data management? And what lessons have come out of those techniques? Maybe some of the older techniques are still very effective.
Yeah, see, when we look at the data management capabilities, definitely first thing comes in our mind, the relational databases management, and before that we have handled on the mainframes and all the file based databases as well. So from there we started the journey in the financial services, and as the journey is getting most modernized, we have been moving from the file-based databases to the RDBMS, from RDBMS to the data warehouses, and from data warehouses to the data lakes, and from the again from the data lakes to the now the cloud-based data lakes. So this is the remarkable journey, and currently the key theme is that as much as possible we can have a cloud adoption in terms of leveraging the better insights and having a various complex algorithms which are available for machine learning, which can be executed on a as a kind of a large grid of computing, which only cloud kind of infrastructures can provide. That is where the roadmaps are, where the industry is moving, provided some of the regulatory guidelines in terms of data residency and the data storage and backups which are being carried out, which is within the IT policy of the country and within the Indian geography, etc. But however, on the technology front, some of the inroads which we are making is that we are moving our historical data, because we are the largest corporate data warehouse for the country. We are moving all historical data beyond the regulatory requirements of 7 to 10 years, since we are the first electronic exchange, or day one we are electronic exchange since 1994. So all that data since 1994 till now minus 7 years. So only latest 7 years data we are keeping on premise, and all the historical data we are moving to the cloud. And because why that is also necessary, a lot of times there is a regulatory requirement to look at the historical data, and a lot of times the the legal and compliance agencies and sometimes investigating various kinds of many years past transactions, because of the law, legal enforcement agencies go for, or income tax agencies go for. So then all that data could be retrieved. So we keep all the data intact, even if the regulatory requirement is 7 to 10 years only. So all that data we have moved, or we are in the process of moving as a first step towards the cloud, and we are experimenting with that. The second, we have recently launched the market insights. If somebody wants to retrieve from us, which used to be a very long running process, we have made that service available on the public cloud, in a private environment where the people can take out the insights, and they can't take the data out. Just they can take only the insights, whatever they have done the data mining when they come in our environment, which has a restricted access, masked data, but they have all the insights available to them.
That's very interesting. That's very cool. So it's going to be that the data that goes into the cloud is older than cloud technology itself. So I don't think in 1994 there were clouds.
Right. Yeah.
Pankaj, if I may come to you with the same question, age-old techniques and newer techniques, but if you could focus more on customer data. You are a customer-facing organization. Customers are hyperactive, and in terms of data. What about customer data, customer-oriented data?
Yeah, sure. So, Manoj, in my view, earlier all the old techniques were available to store the structured data. Now, today, the type of data has also been changed. Today, it's not only structured data, but we have to cater unstructured data also and semi-structured data also. Right?
Yes.
That is the first thing which has changed in the modern technology.
Okay.
In our way, right, from a customer point of view. Then a lot of data points has been added, like behavioral data and customer touchpoint data, and all those things has been added, which earlier I would say 6 years back or a decade back was not the part of the technology. Right. And in terms of modernization of the data, we have to cater all these three types of data. We classify it as structured, unstructured, and semi-structured kind of data. Plus, not only customers, but also internal employees, the mails they are writing, the voice they are talking with the customers, all has to be categorized. And then the data has to be in some way should be available for either internal use or external use in a structured API or application format.
Okay.
Okay, we are working continuously on this. We are also, as Mr. Shiv has told, it's a need of an hour. We have to move to the cloud only. There only we can cater the size and the scale of the data, right? So till date, we are like from data mart to data warehouse, we are available. Now we are getting into data lake and data mesh kind of environment where we'll store and serve the data as quickly as possible, not only for the decisioning point, but for the customer reference also.
Okay.
Okay, just to give you a very small example of the whole process and very practical example, whatever in our industry, Shiv is also aware of that, whatever trade the customer does, he gets the portfolio updated or the contract notes in the evening itself, or maybe tomorrow morning itself. We are planning to structurize that data and link through data mesh and data mart to available it at the end of the market hours. It will be so handy for the customer also, and it will be so handy for my businesses also. That is how the technology has changed from a data management perspective, which we are catering.
And just to add, actually, Manoj, that when the way internally as well, because when we are trying to get the data insights, so what earlier used to be there is a RDBMS. You connect the RDBMS systems with the report systems, or you earlier even the advanced reporting systems were not there. Then people used to use some kind of a custom technology where the visualizers were not very good, and they used to generate the text reports, CSV reports, and all those things. And then the visualization tools have improved, and reporting tools have improved, but still they found they are not able to cater to the large amount of data where the various kinds of marts can be created, and that's where the data warehouses came in. But when all these technologies came in, over the period of time, people have been migrating the data or ingesting the data into the warehouse or these kind of data management system using file transfers, or using like which is calling it as a more snail mail kind of a system, which is a very slow pace. And that is where the things are changing. Like people from there, some of the advanced people have moved on to the change data capture technologies. So only the incremental data is going to the warehouses for space optimizations and all those things. But along with that, they have started ingesting the data real time, because businesses are nowadays interested not in looking at last 3 months or last 6 months of data. They want to look at the real time data insights. And unless the real time data is available, you can't really draw the insight. What was the insight of last 15 minutes or last 30 minutes, and last 30 minutes versus last 30 minutes of the previous month in the same time, same day. If it is expiry day, so last when the market opened in the first 30 minutes, how did the market behave during the expiry, or end of the market, last 30 minutes, how did the market behave? So those kind of analysis were not available, current versus the history. So business is quite keen nowadays that they want real-time analytics, be it is any field, be it is a media, be it is a health, or be like coronavirus. Like you can definitely want to know that how the delta is impacting versus how the alpha or beta versions of the virus impacted earlier, actually, and how did they had a kind of a growth in the few hours or few days or few months versus how the growth rate is now right away. So all that is the way the data is getting ingested into your warehouse systems and reporting platforms, that is making a huge change, actually.
It is. You're absolutely fantastic issue you have pointed out. So let me come to Prasanna and ask, in light of cloud, in light of real time, in light of semi-structured and unstructured data, how has Commvault evolved itself to manage all these kind of challenges and enable enterprises to, deliver, to consume that data efficiently?
Sure. Coming back to your earlier question of old techniques and new techniques,
Old technique.
what used to happen is in the old techniques we had some purpose built appliances or purpose built solutions for each and everything, right? So maybe for file management you had some different techniques, or you need to do some scripting for your databases or something of that sort. So those things have changed. I mean, NSE has been a pioneer. Shiv sir already talked about moving their age-old data to cloud. So these are the few things which customers are already embarking into, right? But at the same time, we need to have an intelligent data management platform who understands that. See, nowadays, what everybody is talking about is how can I leverage my data, or how can I use my data? If you do not have a single platform to have a view of the entire data management, I mean, regardless of where it lies, is it on-prem, or is it in cloud, or is it in multi-cloud? You need to have an intelligent data platform to get something out of your data. Maybe it can be, for example, if you have a database, if you have to give a subset to your DevOps team or to your BizOps team, can I do that? All those things are possible with the new techniques. The age-old techniques were purpose-built. That's what I mentioned earlier. But with the new age techniques, these are the things which bring in a lot of value. One of the surveys, because of what has happened in the last 1.5 years, we did some survey, and few of the top priorities which we could get out of the CIOs is that now 80% of them are asking whether my systems are disaster recovery ready. Yeah, that's the first thing which everybody is asking about. The second thing they are asking is 61% of them said preventing ransomware attacks is my priority. And the third thing, obviously, 49% of them are saying digital transformation is the way to go. Now, for all these three things, again, you need a data management platform which can help you achieve that. Yeah, unless and until you have a data which is properly protected, you are ready for any ransomware attacks. See, you cannot stop ransomware attacks, but how easily and how quickly can you recover from those? One of the things which Shiv sir talked about is within 45 minutes, they failed over from DC to DR. Now, can I do it on a multi-cloud environment? It might not be to the scale of an NSE, but can I do it over a multi-cloud environment? If something, God forbid, something goes down on a public cloud, can I move that data, or can I migrate that data to something else, or can I bring it to on-prem? So these are the things which people are looking at. Obviously, cloud is the in thing, but do I have that flexibility to move around and have a single view to do that? So these are the few things people are talking about, and we are seeing that at many of our customers. They are asking us, and we are there in this industry for 25 years. So we have a legacy side as well, and we know the new techniques which are coming in as well. So that's where we are.
Okay, that's interesting. The technology is becoming more and more generic in its ability to apply to different kinds of situations and different kind of requirements. So there is less.
Yeah, you need to
more
have
standardization.
You need to have flexibility to move around, right? It doesn't matter where are you storing your data. Is it on-prem or on which cloud? You need to have a single pane of glass to understand what's happening where, and if I can take decisions based on that, that's the thing which everybody is looking at. Yeah.
So kind of remind me of my favorite tool as a kid, Swiss Army knife. One thing which does one device that does 10 things. Let me come to Shiv now. My next question is about data management. The way, for example, Prasanna described it as becoming more and more automated, from human being driven activities to rule based automation. And today I think we are in the phase of policy driven automation. Is this actually able to keep pace with the changing volume, the changing variety, the velocity of data? Is data management able to cope up, or it's still a struggle? And if it's a struggle, then what are the challenges?
See, data management definitely is a big challenge, because one is that I think some of the things we have discussed already, that how much data is sufficient to be kept. So that is always a big question. Like, one comes what is the nature of business you have? What is the business demand? How much historical data is being referred by business day to day. That is number one. How much is the regulatory requirement to keep the data at any point of time on premise? So, that is one area that definitely tells you that, okay, how you should be carrying out the capacity planning and all consequently database management. Then there is the second part comes is, as we were alluding earlier, depending on the type of data. So database management, whether it's a structured data, semi-structured data, unstructured data. So how do you, what kind of rules and policies you define to fetching them or ingesting them from the different source systems, as well as carrying out the management, because all the tools may not be the finest tool available. If something is being catered as a database for structured and unstructured databases both. So there is then sometimes challenge comes, so should I have two data warehouses or two databases, one for unstructured, one for structured data. And then if you have again the varied platforms, so what do I call, as a part of database management, what do I call the warehouse system? Like whether my warehouse is a kind of a islandish system, which means that it is I have 25 departments, but is importing the data from the systems of one or two departments only, and rest of the departments are not, the data is not being stored in the warehouse. So you are not a enterprise warehouse, you are probably just a department oriented warehouse. So depending on the complexity changes, and volume is definitely is one of the what kind of business process we want to analyze, what kind of analytics we want to do in which particular business scenario. That also is a function of outcome of that area is also function of the amount of data that process generates, and so what kind of insights can be drawn based on that, and if the process generates huge amount of data while you don't have the capacity, like for example, when you go for IoT equipments, so you might have heard that the aircraft engine and or the various aircraft components have got the IoT devices, and every component data is imported into the warehouse once the aircraft lands. And and on the air as well, they keep on disseminating the data to the as a lightweight data, so that the warehouses can continue to churn out the various advanced analytics for the, be it is a traffic controllers, be it is a pilot, or for the various other maintenance staff that in which cycle this particular machine is getting into. So I am saying that the challenges are based on the domain business scenario, as well as the amount of the kind of business process you are working on. But when you say whether these are kind of limiting, or whether they are limiting our warehouse analysis, the answer is no. I think a lot of sufficiently advanced technology is available, right from on-prem private cloud to the public cloud as well, where we can use the various advanced analytics tools to draw the very deep insights, which we were not able to do in the earlier days using the RDBMS kind of databases or RDBMS oriented warehouses. Yeah.
Okay, let's dig deeper into this. I'm going to continue with you because you have some time constraints, then come back to Pankaj and Prasanna. So the way you described, yes, we are consuming a lot more data, a lot more variety of data, a lot more systems and processes are there. If you look ahead into the future, and I'm sure all these things are going to become even more larger and more real-time and more complex, do you see data management automation keeping pace? Or do you think you'll have to put more people and processes? So in the sense, how are you making a holistic plan for the next 3 years, let's say, to make sure that your data management is able to deliver organizational objectives? People, process, technology, what is the mix that you see for yourself?
So, in terms of one is that in terms of people, we definitely we are finding the challenges that the amount of I will tell you one example in our scenario. People needed the earlier a surveillance report in a frequency of an hour and or 2 hours. That was sufficient. Nowadays, that realize that in a 2 to 3 minutes I need a snap report, or I need a snap report of last 30 minutes with all these kind of visualizations being available. So
Okay.
in our scenario, in an exchange scenario, surveillance is the biggest consumer of the advanced analytics and the warehousing technology. And consequently, there is the data ingestion a lot of times from the trading platform happens at the end of day. While there
Okay.
is a requirement, the data ingestion should be happening real time. So that at 4:30 when the market close, you can write then and there to your trading members, to your regulators, to the surveillance teams. You can give the complete market insights for the day then and there in few hours.
Mhm.
So there is a big challenge at our end, and the skill set we are working on to bring more. Being a when people say data is a oil and all everything, and we are being the largest corporate data warehouse for the country, but data scientists and data warehousing skills are the one where we are struggling with, and we are looking for the advanced skills in these areas. Now, in the processes, as I said, that we are also using a lot of legacy, data ingestion tools, and where we are migrating towards the real-time data ingestion technologies.
Mhm.
That is number one. And in terms of the the reporting and warehousing technologies, there also we are carrying out the improvements, and we are putting up depending on which kind of analytics should be real time, which could be analytics should be at the end of day, which could be hourly or day, or a alternate day at a different frequencies. What kind of analytics to be drawn? Those rules are being also re-evaluated, because the frequencies are going down and down. Actually, earlier whatever frequency used to be much higher, now at a very low frequency we have to have those kind of analytics being available. So that is in terms of the technology capacity planning is the third area, where technology area where we are finding that we should have our warehouses partially on premise and partially on the cloud, so we can do the faster churn out of the analytics for the real time of the current last few days of data, and marrying it with the historical analytics based on the grid computing and all on the cloud. So this is where I think some of the future directions are, where we are working to.
Very interesting. You said you are the largest corporate data size. Give us an estimate. What is the size?
See, when we
Overall.
overall, when we look at it, we are almost generating 4 terabytes of data every hour. And when we look at the overall, if I just think aloud, probably if we put together, we will be easily around when we remove all those various kind of 500 times compression ratios and all which we today carry out, we'll be easily around 10 to 15 petabyte kind of a warehouse data we have, historical data. Yes.
Okay. So what
Yes.
how do you look at this entire mass of data? What kind of analysis do you do on the data itself? Not just from a business point of view, but to be able to manage it so
Yeah,
that you're not losing out any data. If data is an asset, you need to understand that data, and how do you get that correct picture?
yeah, that is where I think we are working towards, like we have all this data backups and all, which are being still taken on a legacy way. As I was trying to indicate towards on the tape backups and all. So we are looking at, moving towards that, disk-based backups, or rather even graduating toward directly to the cloud rather than going for the disk-based backups and all. And so that is one area we are very seriously pursuing. But as the volumes are, when we look at, I will probably someday I will bring or show you the presentation. Because in our case, unlike banks, we have only the orders running into 200 to 500 bytes of data. So our data volumes are very, very low. But when you look at the whole overall volume of the whole day, 1 day data, then it is a sufficient huge amount of data it generates. And but as the volumes of the capital markets are growing, as the more and more asset and complex asset classes are coming, the packet sizes are growing as well. So I have seen, actually, if I just give you a trend, that I have seen the data growing more exponential rate 2011 onwards, or 2011 2012 onwards. From 1994 to till 2010 or 2011, if you see the graph, where the graph is going like that. So from 1994, will be finding the line of the graph will be touching almost the x-axis. But from the 2011 to the 2019, the graph will be exponentially growing. So, and from 2014-15 onwards, the rate becomes really, really very, very fast. Very steep curve is there actually in the data growth. Because which is showing naturally the volumes in the country have gone up. So the data growth has come in last 4 or 5 years. The data have been exponentially growing, and that is where when we see that when we are looking for multi-trillion economy, I'm pretty sure that we will require a much bigger warehouse initiatives and much bigger data backups and recovery mechanisms and all those things. As you said, that data is a asset which continue will be, and to have the safe custody of the data, as well as retrieval as fast as possible, and having the multiple backups as well, for the safety of data to be kept. So these are the technologies which will be very, very critical for us, and as the data will be growing, the storage costs need to go down, as well as the faster retrieval of the data will be one of the key, and faster networks will be requirements. So some of these are the trends we are also working on actually.
Very interesting. It's interesting to know that the size of your whole database is a reflection of the size of the economy. So
Yes.
that's another insight. Wonderful.
Right.
Thank you. When it comes to customer data and unstructured data, Pankaj, the question to you now are the tools and technologies available to you, and the human resources and skills available to you, are they able to match with this complicated kind of data? I can understand technology applied to structured data is relatively easier, but for more complex data types, are you people dependent or process dependent or technology dependent?
The data management is shifting not only from human effort to policy based or something like that, but I think now data is moving the data management itself. That is my understanding. Okay, because nowadays the tools and technologies which are available, they are capable to read the data, to classify the data, and then arranging the data also. The data itself can decide himself whether it is irrelevant or relevant data. It's not only human rule or policy. Policies are made by data. The rules are made by the data itself, not by the humans. The biggest challenge what we had faced in last 2 years when we started dedicatedly on the data part. So the biggest challenge we had faced is one is the sampling and classification of data to identify. Okay. From there, maybe from a process perspective, there are challenges. Then the tools and technology available definitely for unstructured data is either not sufficient, not 100% matured, or it's too costly.
Okay.
Okay. And then third part, definitely the niche skill set is an issue because data is evolving continuously. These are the biggest three challenges which I can see, since the governance itself is taken by the data, not by the from the people or from the youth.
That's an interesting perspective. Yeah. Baseline intelligence is coming to the data itself.
Yeah, like the machine learning programs and the artificial intelligence program, they need classified data to just learn. Once they learn, so it's like they are deciding what to do rather than human or policies deciding.
Interesting.
So till an extent, I think all the efforts which the technology, which the skill set, process, people are putting is only up to 52% success ratio. So still there is a huge gap and huge scope to improve. I would say we are at the halfway is pending.
Okay, there's a lot of opportunity. That means to make improvements.
Yeah.
So
that is the challenge.
Yeah. Okay. So Prasanna, do you want to address how technology is solving these challenges? How can someone go from 50% to 75% to manage complex data types, volumes of data?
Yeah, absolutely. As rightly mentioned by Pankaj, the unstructured data is growing exponentially compared to the structured data.
Correct.
One of the surveys which we did, almost like 55% of the data is dark data. When I say dark data, we don't know what kind of data, who is generating that data. So it's a three-pronged attack, what we do or how we address data management from our side. First thing is we need to understand what kind of data you have. We call it as data awareness, right? If we put some business context in the indexing itself, that creates that sort of awareness. I'm saying the system will, do on its own. So if you put some business context blended into the index, it can optimize your data footprint. It can identify and remediate unused and orphan data or orphan files. Okay. Most of the times, the biggest bottleneck for any organization to move to cloud is in terms of how much data I have moved to the cloud. So using this data awareness techniques and using optimization techniques, you can optimize your data, right? That's the first step, how you manage your data. Second thing is you minimize your data risks. So as mentioned by Pankaj, if you have the data classification embedded in the index itself, you mitigate your risks, right? If you understand and classify, or through AI/ML, you can detect sensitive data in your organization. Now, the thing is, the data is not only stored in data center, right? It has moved to cloud. It has moved to endpoints. I mean, people are carrying the data to their homes. How do I classify and identify that sensitive data? If the system understands that, and if we use some AI/ML techniques, we can reduce or mitigate that risks. And third thing, obviously accelerating those business decisions. If you have a central reporting spread across all these three areas where the data is lying, we can take a sensible decision and how we can move ahead. The second thing after data awareness we see is what is called as data agility, right? How recovery ready is my data? That data set can be in cloud. No compute is required for cloud in the backup, or for example, deduplicated data is there in the cloud. Because obviously, cloud, public cloud, any cloud, they charge you based on the consumption. If you have a deduplicated data lying on your cloud and it is not rehydrating, your consumption cost goes down, right? Obviously, you will look at the cost benefit analysis to place your data, right? It's on premise or on cloud. So these are the things, and obviously verified readiness to ensure recovery SLA, as mentioned by Shiv sir, in terms of how recovery ready you are. How quickly can you recover from anything, right? So the second thing is data agility. And the third thing obviously is data automation. If you have APIs which can integrate with your other applications or other systems and can automate most of the tasks which you have, obviously the most finite thing in the entire scheme of things is people, right? How many people you have to manage the entire stuff. And if data is growing exponentially, if you can automate most of the things, then you are through. So these are the three things which we are seeing and which we can do. So data awareness, data agility, and data automation. So that's the mantra we have, for managing your data.
A's.
Yeah.
3 A's.
I agree with Manoj, but Manoj, that mantra is very difficult to implement sometimes.
Explain.
Cases.
Yeah, so Pankaj, the first step is first to understand what kind of data you have. Once you have
the
awareness about it, correct.
Yeah, the classification itself is a challenge, especially in terms of unstructured data.
Tools have evolved from legacy systems to the new age systems. So we can do a lot of stuff on that.
So perhaps one of the issues is that the way the technology has evolved, the newer features and the newer intelligence that has come into the software, that needs to be better understood. Because most of us, if it's an old tool, if it's an, let's say Commvault product has been around for 20, 30, 40 years, whatever it is, then obviously the older things are there in memory more permanent. The newer things are difficult to get into the mind. And with 100 softwares adding 100 features every year, it's really difficult for a decision maker to be really aware of all these new capabilities, all these new automations.
So one of the things which we are
100 features are added not every year. 100 features are added every week. That is the situation right now across the industry.
That is agile DevOps, right? So that's what is happening in your mobile phone as well. Every day you see some updates coming in.
Correct. Yeah. And when it is get updated, you are not aware.
It happens automatically. Update happens. So, Prasanna, is it that for companies like you, do you have a system to supply these automated updates on a software as a service module kind of thing?
Absolutely.
So that even if people are not aware of all the nitty-gritties, they still get the benefits?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I mentioned, everybody is moving towards agile development. So obviously we are a software company. We are also on that same path. But the key thing to manage this kind of huge data, as mentioned by Pankaj, for 7 years, 10 years, if the data is lying in the system, lying in the organization. So one of the key things is to optimize your cost or optimize your entire data management thing is to archive. It's the most simple thing to say, but the most difficult thing to do, right? But if you can archive your VMs, if you can archive your database itself, or if you can archive your files, that saves you a lot of cost. If I can archive that and move it to a low cost environment, that saves you a lot of cost. And as mentioned by Shiv sir, I've seen this happening with many of our global banks as such. They're going fully tapeless and they're moving that data also to cloud on a low cost storage. So these are the few things which are happening in the environment, in the industry. And that's very much possible in India as well. So that's where we are, Manoj.
So Pankaj, since you mentioned about this data management challenges, one angle, the cost is obviously always an issue. How do you see data management costs as opposed to overall IT costs? Is it at the same level? Is it rising? Is it falling? As an industry, not just for your organization.
So for my, if you ask our industry, I think it is definitely rising.
As a percentage of overall IT costs.
Plus at the same time, the technology is also improving.
Technology is improving, no doubt.
Yeah.
So what do you think there'll be some smart technologies that you can lower the rate at which it is rising? CFOs must definitely be asking you, can you cut down the budgets here?
I don't see in the near future of say 1 or 2 years, but down the line it will definitely.
Okay.
One of the major reason is many people are like shifting from on-prem to cloud, half the data, and it's more of like hybrid state right now. Some has been shifted, some part to cloud, some part is in on-prem. So most of the organization in my industry are running on say hybrid state.
Right.
So there sometimes we see a rise in the cost from a data management perspective.
Okay.
The tools or technology. Once it is settled, either way, that is not possible in say near future of 3 years. But post that, I think the things will settle down.
If I may ask, Prasanna, obviously you talk to a lot of CIOs and CTOs, and obviously they talk about technology. Does cost come in as a important criteria, or does it come only at the end? of the discussion.
So,
The cost of running all this.
So before Prasanna gives the industry view, my view is that at our organization level, technology comes first,
Okay.
and then cost is a second factor.
Correct.
So 10 years back or 6 years back, cost was the first factor, and then technology. Now it's the other way around.
So it has flipped.
In the last one and a half years, things have changed drastically, right?
At our place, Prasanna, it has changed 5 years, 6 years back. So that is how it is. Now we are more preferring on technology solutions and robust scalability kind of things, and then the cost.
Right.
Yeah,
it is right, but it all depends on various factors. Yes, cost is one of the key factors. Where you want to place your data, I mean, the cost plays a major portion, right? In terms of at what cost you are acquiring or storing that data. But if you have a tool which can manage across, as Pankaj mentioned, hybrid environment or multi-cloud environment, and most of the customers which we have, for example, already they are on O365, correct? That's one cloud which they are tasting, right? Another can be Salesforce, something can be else. I mean, you have public clouds, you have few applications running on Amazon or on Google. So this is the environment everybody is in. Right, and most of the times what happens is if you do it in silos, then your cost of managing it goes up. If you have a single view across this, and then you choose, I mean, if you have the flexibility of choosing where you want to place the data, then it becomes a robust, cost-effective solution, and it gives you that flexibility. Tomorrow, if you say I want to move to say Amazon, and if the system doesn't allow you to do that, or if you can't move it in an optimized way, then obviously the cost goes up. But if you put that architecture in place and you have that intelligent data management platform, then it all depends on you in terms of where you want to place the data.
Right. So you need that technology that gives you the flexibility.
Correct.
Rather than be constrained.
Correct. And the architecture should be linearly scalable, because the data is growing at an exponential stage. You don't want to invest now for 3 years or 5 years. Can I do it for what I have? And can I linearly scale that architecture? So that's one more thing which people should look at. And that's what we propagate in terms of you don't have to buy something which you are going to use after 5 years. Because the technology is changing so rapidly. After 2 years, you don't know what's going to come in, right? What new thing. But the platform has to be flexible enough to accommodate whatever comes in.
We have to think, just to add Prasanna's point, we have to think not only to shift the data in terms of infrastructure, but we have to re-architect, re-modernize the way data is stored or maybe stored in the future. So correct. Modernization from a platform perspective has to be evaluated before we took any decision. Right?
Very.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's why I said those three things, right? Data awareness, data agility, and data automation.
And that creates a platform approach. I guess absolutely. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
Correct. Correct.
Yes. Modernization of technology and applications is the need of the hour if you want to really grow and do the bigger things on the data.
So let's conclude at this with these observations, interesting observations from Pankaj, Prasanna, and Mr. Bhasin. I think all three of you have given 3 different perspectives on a common problem that this giant thing called data needs to manage. And if it's not managed, it is not only expensive, but it hurts business interests. And I'm sure in the future it's going to attract a lot of compliance penalties and statutory penalties if data is not managed properly.
Correct.
So it's an asset, but also it requires protection as an asset. Like there's that Fort Knox to protect all the gold that America has. We need a Fort Knox to protect and create value out of the data. So gentlemen, thank you very much for an interesting discussion.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Pankaj. Yeah.
Thank you.